The Dukes of Hazzard for me all started in 1979. That was the year when I was born. The Dukes of Hazzard was the only show that could keep me quiet when I was a kid. I mean, every Friday night my mother would slap me in front of the TV to watch the Dukes of Hazzard, not because she wanted to, because that was the only show that could keep me quiet. I was a kid that would keep quiet if my life counted on it. So every Friday night, my mother would slap me in front of the TV. She would slap on channel 7 at the time here in Nova Scotia. The Dukes of Hazzard would come on that channel, and on a Friday night, and we would watch the Dukes of Hazzard, sit around the TV. And I remember watching it, and I had the perfect view of it. You had the General A, you had John Schneider, and you had Catherine Bach, and her top of the line legs that Kathy actually insured, believe it or not. She actually insured her legs for such ridiculous things, but when you're a top line actress, I suppose the producers want you to keep fit much as possible, but age takes its effect over time. But I remember that it was John Schneider, the General A, and Catherine Bach and her legs was the thing that would keep you tuned into the show. But when I looked at the show, it's just part of when you, as a kid growing up, you ask yourself, what was a show that you always admired growing up? For me, it was the Dukes of Hazzard. Normally, you would think that it would be a cartoon or something, but for some reason, the General A, John Schneider, and Catherine Bach is what tuned you into the Dukes of Hazzard. And I also remember Jimmy Best, the comedy between him and Sora Book. I mean, what two great talented actors that they hired when they casted those two to play Boss Hogg and Roscoe. I mean, if you were going to get any two comedian actors to play them, I don't think anybody could have played it better than Sora Book or Jimmy Best. I mean, those two took the cake. They were good at it. I mean, I'm sure that if they hired Don Knotts to go and play a character on the show, I'm pretty sure that he would have fit in. But it is what it is. But somebody asked me, a Dukes of Hazzard fan asked me, well, do you think that Don Knotts should have been casted on the show? I'd say yes. He was good at comedy. Don Knotts would have fit in there just perfect instead of being on Three's Company. But it is what it is. But in 1996, they filmed the Dukes of Hazzard reunion movie. It came on the air in 1997, a year later. 12 years after when the Dukes of Hazzard was canceled, came back on in 1997 for their reunion movie. Like me and my mother as a kid, we would gather on TV, we would watch the Dukes of Hazzard. In comes the General A, here comes John Schneider, in comes Catherine Bach with her Jeep. So we watched the Dukes of Hazzard reunion movie in 1997. Me and my mother again, we gathered around the television set, something we haven't done in 12 years. And it was funny, when the Dukes of Hazzard came back on the air, guess what? We were watching the Dukes of Hazzard. But a few years later, my mother had a battle with leukemia. She passed away. And when my mother passed away, I looked at it, and I looked at the Dukes of Hazzard. It was like, driving the General A and the passenger seat is empty, and that seat is supposedly been her seat, supposed to be right there with you during the whole ride, during the run of the show. That's what the feeling was like when my mother passed away with the Dukes of Hazzard. That empty seat was no longer filled, and you're driving the General A, of course. And but with the Dukes of Hazzard is a show that stands for everything good in the world: family morals, good versus evil, family greed, family morals, everything right in the world. But the controversy with the Confederate flag, in my opinion, it's not over. Let's just put it this way, all you Dukes of Hazzard fans, look at it this way. Remember when Star Trek went off the air in 1969? It came back. When it came back, what happened? They had a whole new model, they had a whole new logo, Star Trek logo, they had everything. The Dukes of Hazzard is the same thing. They'll have a new model car, of course, but they'll also have a new flag on the roof. Besides the Confederate flag, what other logo can we use that says that is Southern besides the Confederate flag? You and I both know that this can't be accomplished. Perhaps it is time for the Confederate flag to retire and find something else. Sorry, for a new generation to recognize the show as a Southern show as what it is and keep the comedy fresh. Something what the two Dukes of Hazzard remake movies failed miserably to do. I mean, those two movies in 2005, and a few years later they made that other movie, man. I heard from fans that they say that they couldn't get out of the movie theater fast enough, and I don't blame them. But you know, when I look at the Dukes of Hazzard, man, it's great. It really is. Now we're about to look at the Boars Nest. This is the original Boars Nest that they had used in the first 5 episodes. It's the real Boars Nest. Now it's a church. It's a Baptist church. It's a place where everybody goes to celebrate their religious beliefs, whatever that may be. Me, personally, religion has no impact on my day-to-day livelihood, because religion, in my opinion, is the root of all evils. That's why we have an unstable world in our society, because religion is the root of all evils in our world today, in my opinion. But this here is the Boars Nest, and when I look at this, wow, what? Woo-wee! It's like going back in the Twilight Zone. I'm telling you, this, wow, man. I mean, a lot of people did not know that the Boars Nest was real. The first Boars Nest, what they had used in the first 5 episodes, was real. The second Boars Nest that they used in the remainder of the Dukes of Hazzard series was fake. Some of it was on stage, some of it was just a prop. No, the stunt drivers or John Schneider himself would drive the generally up to the prop that would look like the Boars Nest, and they were going with their stuff. But this here is the real McCoy. It's the real thing. Wow. I actually forgotten how great looking this place was. I mean, wow. I mean, I love this place. I really do. I mean, it's just like going back as a kid. You know, you go back to your first apartment that you lived in, and you look at it the first time you shake it. Wow, I can't believe I was a part of this. And when I look at the Boars Nest here, you know, the Dukes of Hazzard and this Boars Nest is a part of me, and all you fans around the world. This is it right here. Like, wow, suck it all in while you can. Wow. Here's a few other filming locations that the Dukes of Hazzard have filmed at. Let's go to Uncle Jesse's farm. I don't know if you guys are aware of it or not, but as of right now, the Duke farm, Uncle Jesse's farm, is no longer. It's been torn down, and the only thing that remains left standing is the chimney to both sides of the house. The Duke farm was part of a military exercise place back in the days of the war, and John Schneider and a few actors stated that farm, Uncle Jesse's farm, was actually a military station for war veterans would train before they go to combat or whatever. But that was what Uncle Jesse's farm was used at before the Dukes of Hazzard came along. And today, just when we got access to this film, the farm was torn down. So the person who filmed this was able to get inside of it before they tore it down. So luckily for us, we can actually go inside Uncle Jesse's farm before they tore it down. So now we're inside. We'll take a look at it. But anyways, let's go take a look at Uncle Jesse's farm and take a look at some other filming locations that they had filmed at when they filmed the Dukes of Hazzard. But anyways, let's go take a look. Okay, this here is the Hazzard County town square where they filmed the first 5 episodes of the Dukes of Hazzard. This is what it looks like today, and then back then we go back and forth. But anyways, let's go take a look at it. I mean, a lot of things had changed from then to now, but the main Hazzard County Courthouse is present. Cooter's Garage is not seen because in the first 5 episodes, Cooter's Garage, it was shown, but it's mostly outside of a field, like a farm-like setting. But Cooter's Garage never really existed until the show moved to Burbank Studios, where they filmed the remainder of the Dukes of Hazzard. But the first 5 episodes was filmed in Atlanta. So this is Atlanta, Georgia, I should say. This is where they filmed the first 5 episodes in Atlanta, Georgia. This county courthouse is the original Hazzard County Courthouse that you see on the Dukes of Hazzard. It's still standing, but anyways, let's go look at the place where they made the first jump at the generally. Here it is here. if you may be aware or not, in February of 1994, actor Sora Book, who played Boss Hogg, had succumbed to his battle with cancer. This here, what you see here, is Sora Book's gravesite. God love him, you know. And I actually feel sorry for the guy who, you know, we all have our time come to go. It was his time, and I always admired how the Dukes of Hazzard paid respect to Sora Book in their 1997 reunion movie. How they had a moment of where Jimmy Best and Sora Book would have their moment together, and Jimmy was holding up the money. He was telling Boss Hogg, you know, I'm doing everything that you taught me. He got $100,000 out of this worthless swamp that wasn't worth 5 cents. No, so they kept Sora Book's character intact along with the show, and when they did that, it gave the fans, Jimmy Best and Sora Book, to all connect one last time, and they did. And that's one of the things that I like about that show. They tied actors who were no longer with them into the show, even though that they're not with them to this day. But you know, this here is Sora Book's grave. God love him. Sora, if you're watching wherever you're at in this world, we think the world of you, and we will not forget the comedy and the great talented acting skills that you brought to entertain us, Dukes of Hazzard fans around the world. So Sora, we think the world of you, we love you, and thank you for the comedy and the great acting talent that you brought to us to entertain us at home. Thank you, Sora. Denver Pyle was an actor who passed away on December 25th, 1997. Denver Pyle shares a grave with somebody else, one of his relatives. Denver Pyle is not the only actor who has an unmarked grave and shares a grave with somebody else. Adam West was an actor who'd done the same, and he was cremated when he passed on. He was buried out to sea, but Denver Pyle was a great actor. I mean, he acted with John Wayne in a couple of movies. One of them was Liberty Valance, when he played Uncle Denver. I mean, he went on the Andy Griffin show. He went on the TV show The Rifleman with Chuck Connors. I mean, Denver Pyle made the list go on. I mean, Bonnie and Clyde, he was in that movie. I mean, Denver Pyle truly was Uncle Jesse when he played that character. He really was. But at the end of the day, Denver Pyle was the second actor that passed away. James Best passed away, and his grave, I should say, is unmarked also. Now let's not forget about Waylon Jennings. Waylon Jennings passed away in 2002. In February of 2002, he is, in my opinion, one of the world's greatest singers to go on stage. I mean, he ranks right up there with Elvis Presley. I mean, Elvis Presley was the world's greatest singer and entertainer to ever go on stage. But Waylon Jennings is one of the greatest singers that I ever encountered. I mean, when you're bored, you got nothing to do, if you're going to slap a Waylon Jennings CD, he's liable to get you into a good mood. You're going from a bad mood into a good mood because of Waylon Jennings' great music that he was capable of doing. And when I come across Waylon Jennings, he can get me in a good mood any time at any place with his music. And I often say, if it wasn't for Waylon Jennings, good old Willie Nelson, I don't think would have made it in the music business without Waylon Jennings. Waylon Jennings is the singer and balladeer / narrator of the Dukes of Hazzard. He's that guy that you hear talking during the episodes when Bo and Luke are in a tight jam just moments before they go on a commercial break. That's Waylon Jennings that you hear talking, and that's Waylon Jennings that you hear narrating the Dukes of Hazzard. It was unfortunate in 1996 when they decided to film the Dukes of Hazzard reunion movie that Waylon Jennings decided not to take part in the movie. He decided to continue focusing on his own projects that he had on the go, and I'm not sure why Waylon Jennings backed out from the Dukes of Hazzard reunion movie in 1996. I'm sure he had a reason, but I think it would have been better if he did take on his old role again as the narrator, balladeer, but it is what it is. And Waylon Jennings, in my opinion, brought a lot of chemistry and a lot of environment to the Dukes of Hazzard that he had narrated from 1979 right on to 1985. So Waylon, thank you for your contribution that you did to the Dukes of Hazzard, and if it wasn't for you, in your narration, I'm not sure if the Dukes of Hazzard would have made it, and if it wasn't for Waylon Jennings, that famous Good Old Boys theme song that you hear playing at the beginning of every episode, I don't think that we would have been known to hearing that classical song, because Waylon Jennings technically wrote that song specifically for the TV show, and little did we know or realize that that song that he had written, The Good Old Boys, became one of the world's greatest songs that was ever written. I mean, the Dukes of Hazzard theme song went from a theme song to a TV show to one of the world's greatest songs, or recognizable songs, I should say, that the world recognizes. That classical Good Old Boys songs that Waylon Jennings were written specifically for the Dukes of Hazzard TV show. So, John Schneider, Catherine Bach, Rick Hurst, Sonny Schroyer, Ben Jones, Tom Oped, the remaining Dukes of Hazzard cast that's still with us here today. I think you guys should take your hats off to Waylon Jennings, because he wrote that song specifically for you guys to help reach you guys get to your stardoms, because Waylon Jennings clearly already was at the top of the hill, top of the mountain when you guys had gotten there. So I often say, if it wasn't for Waylon Jennings doing his contributions to the Dukes of Hazzard show, I don't think the show would have succeeded. So Waylon, if you're watching, thank you for the work that you've done, and see you on the other side when our time comes to meet up with you.